There's a kind of quiet that hits you before your world falls apart. It's not peaceful or calm, just heavy, like the air before a storm. That's exactly what greeted me when I walked into my apartment last week. No music playing, no laughter, no sign of Emma, the woman I'd been dating for 3 years, or Ryan, the guy I trusted as close as family. I wasn't supposed to be home. My business trip ended early, and I thought surprising Emma with flowers and takeout would be a nice gesture. Turns out, the surprise was all mine. As I made my way down the hallway, something didn't sit right. It wasn't just the silence, it was the weight of it, pressing against my chest like an invisible hand. Then I heard it. A low, rhythmic groan, muffled but unmistakable. Familiar enough to make my stomach churn. My heart started pounding in my ears, each beat louder than the last. I told myself it could be anything. Maybe she was watching TV. Maybe I was overreacting. But deep down, I already knew. I pushed open the bedroom door, and there they were. Emma and Ryan, tangled up in our sheets, laughing like it was some inside joke meant to stab me in the chest. For a split second, time froze. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. The same bed we shared, the same pillows I fluffed this morning. They were using them to humiliate me. Emma didn't scream or flinch. She just looked at me, her eyes locking onto mine. There was no shame, no guilt, just a smirk that twisted her lips into something ugly. "What are you gonna do?" she said, her voice dripping with mockery. "Cry." Ryan laughed like it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard, as if I was the punchline. He didn't even bother covering himself, sitting there smugly like he owned the place. Like he owned her. In that moment, something inside me shattered. Not the love, not the trust, but the part of me that ever believed people like them deserved forgiveness. Every lie they told, every laugh they shared behind my back, it all came crashing down on me at once. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something, to rip the sheets off the bed and burn them. But instead, I stood there, frozen. My hands clenched into fists so tight my nails dug into my palms. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. Then I smiled, a cold, bitter smile, and turned around. I closed the door behind me without saying a word. The elevator ride down felt endless. My legs felt like lead, but my mind was racing. I replayed her voice in my head. "What are you gonna go? Cry?" Those 5 words echoed louder than any scream ever could. They weren't just mocking me. They were daring me to react, to show weakness. And I hated them for it. When I got into my car, I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the dashboard. The flowers lay untouched on the passenger seat, wilting slowly in their plastic wrapping. I picked them up, opened the glove compartment, and shoved them inside, thorns and all. Not because I was mad, but because it felt symbolic. From that moment on, I wasn't the man they laughed at. I was the man they'd never forget. For the next 3 days, I ghosted both of them. No calls, no texts, no explanations, just silence. And that silence made them nervous. Day 1, Emma called 7 times. By day 2, Ryan had called 12 times. By day 3, I stopped counting. But I wasn't just sitting around waiting. I was preparing. You see, this wasn't the first time I'd been betrayed. Years ago, I went through a divorce because my ex-wife cheated on me. Back then, I let anger consume me. I fought. I begged. I tried to fix things, but nothing worked. When we finally split, I promised myself I'd never let someone hurt me like that again. I swore I'd learn from it. And now, here I was, facing betrayal again. Only this time, I knew better. I knew things about Emma and Ryan they didn't think I knew. Like how Emma relied on me financially, credit card, car payments. Even her share of the rent were under my name. And Ryan? He'd started a side business I helped fund through a silent partnership agreement I wrote up and notarized. Plus, neither of them bothered to clean up their digital messes. So while they were guessing what I'd do next, I was already moving. A taste of their own medicine. I quietly began pulling strings. First, I froze the shared bank account. Then I revoked access to the lease and changed the locks on the apartment. Next, I sent screenshots of their betrayal to our mutual friends, a carefully curated selection of texts, photos, and receipts that painted a clear picture of their deceit. No commentary, just cold, hard facts. But that was only the beginning. Because revenge isn't about tearing someone down. It's about making sure they realize how badly they underestimated you. You'd think after being caught red-handed, they'd try to lie low. But no, not these two. 2 days later, Emma posted a filtered selfie with the caption, "Sometimes betrayal sets you free. New beginnings." Ryan followed up with a cryptic meme on his social media, "The real ones stay. The fake ones expose themselves." It was almost funny how confident they seemed, how untouchable they felt. They had no idea that every cocky post, every smug caption, was fuel for the fire I was quietly building. While they were busy posing for likes, I was filing paperwork to cut ties completely. I sent the termination clause for the business partnership to Ryan's lawyer, backed by proof of misuse of funds. And I prepared one final move neither of them saw coming. Public accountability, served cold. I wasn't interested in drama or viral outrage. I wanted truth. and truth has a way of burning slow but leaving deep scars. So I created a Google Drive folder. Inside, I included screenshots of Emma's messages to me and Ryan, time-stamped photos of their secret dates, and financial records showing how she used my money to spoil him. I titled the folder Trust, a side-by-side breakdown. Then I shared the link once in a group chat of mutual friends, co-workers, and family members. No captions, no insults, just the evidence. The fallout came fast. Her cousin texted, "Are you okay? This is insane." His brother messaged, "Dude, seriously? I'm speechless." Even her boss left a voicemail saying, "We need to talk. There are concerns about professionalism here." And Emma? She posted one last defiant message before vanishing online. People destroy what they can't control. No, sweetheart. I didn't destroy you. You did. I just showed the world who you really are. I didn't hear from Emma or Ryan directly after that. Not immediately, anyway. Their social media profiles went dark, scrubbed clean as if they were trying to erase themselves from existence. Too little, too late. The damage had already been done. Mutual friends stopped reaching out to me entirely. Some sent awkward apologies, others ghosted without explanation. It wasn't hard to guess why. They didn't want to pick sides, didn't want to get caught in the crossfire of my quiet revenge. Fine by me. If anything, their silence only confirmed what I'd always suspected. Loyalty is a rare commodity, and most people are just along for the ride until the wheels fall off. But life has a way of keeping you busy when you least expect it. Work became my anchor during those first few weeks. I threw myself into projects, meetings, and deadlines, letting the rhythm of productivity drown out the noise in my head. My boss noticed the change, how sharp I was, how focused, and commented on it during our weekly check-in. "You seem different," she said, leaning back in her chair with a curious smile. "Like you've got nothing left to lose." She wasn't wrong. Still, no matter how much I tried to distract myself, there were moments when the quiet would creep back in. Late at night, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, I'd replay everything in my mind. The laughter, the smirk, the words. "What are you gonna do? Cry?" And sometimes, I wondered if I'd gone too far. Was this who I wanted to be? Someone who dismantled lives with spreadsheets and screenshots? Or was this just the version of me they'd created? It wasn't until the third week that things took another turn. One evening, as I walked home from work, I found a package waiting outside my door. No label, no return address, just a plain brown box taped shut. My stomach tightened instinctively. Part of me wanted to leave it there, untouched, but curiosity won out. I carried it inside, set it on the counter, and carefully opened it. Inside was a manila envelope and a handwritten note. The note read, "Thought you should see this. Karma's a bitch, isn't it?" The handwriting was unfamiliar, but the tone was unmistakable. Someone else knew about Emma and Ryan. Someone else had been watching. I opened the envelope and pulled out a stack of printed documents. At first glance, they looked like financial statements, bank records, credit card bills, invoices. But as I flipped through them, a pattern began to emerge. Large sums of money moving between accounts I didn't recognize. Payments labeled vaguely. Consulting services, marketing expenses, freelance work. And then, tucked near the bottom of the pile, a single-page contract bearing both Emma's and Ryan's signatures. My breath caught in my throat. It was a loan agreement for $50,000. Signed 6 months ago. The lender's name was redacted, but the terms were clear. Repayment within 12 months, with interest. If they defaulted, the lender retained the right to seize collateral. Collateral that included Emma's car, Ryan's business assets, and, most shockingly, a lien on the apartment we'd shared. They'd borrowed money behind my back. Money they clearly couldn't repay. And now, whoever held that debt was coming for them. A slow grin spread across my face. This wasn't just bad luck for Emma and Ryan. It was poetic justice. Whoever had sent me the documents knew exactly what they were doing. They weren't offering me ammunition. They were giving me a front-row seat to the fallout. Over the next few days, the pieces started falling into place. Emma stopped posting online altogether. Ryan's business disappeared from Google searches. He must have taken it offline. Calls from unknown numbers flooded my phone, though I ignored them all. Eventually, I received a voicemail from a gruff-sounding man claiming to represent a private lending firm. He demanded payment for the outstanding loan, citing my name as a cosigner. Apparently, Emma and Ryan had forged my signature on the original agreement. Classic. I forwarded the voicemail to my lawyer, along with copies of the documents from the mystery package. Within hours, he confirmed what I already suspected. The signatures were fake. The entire loan was fraudulent, which meant Emma and Ryan weren't just drowning in debt. They were neck-deep in legal trouble. By the end of the week, the lender filed a lawsuit against them. Copies of the court summons appeared online almost instantly, courtesy of someone who clearly wanted the world to know. Social media exploded with speculation. Friends weighed in. Strangers chimed in. Even local news outlets picked up the story, dubbing it the love triangle scandal that turned criminal. And through it all, I stayed silent. letting the truth speak for itself. Months later, I ran into Sarah, a mutual friend I hadn't seen since the drama unfolded. We met by chance at a coffee shop downtown. She hesitated before approaching me, clutching her latte like it might protect her from whatever storm she thought I'd bring. "Hey," she said cautiously. "How are you holding up?" I shrugged, sipping my espresso. "Better than they are, I imagine." She nodded, glancing around as if making sure no one was listening. "Look, I don't know what happened between you three, or why, but I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for not saying anything sooner. I should have known better." Her apology surprised me, not because it was heartfelt, but because it was genuine. In a world full of people eager to take sides, she'd chosen to stay neutral. "Until now. It's okay," I told her. "You didn't owe me anything." We talked for a while longer, catching up on surface-level stuff. Before she left, she handed me a folded piece of paper. "This came for you," she said quietly. "No return address. Thought you might want it." Back at home, I unfolded the note. It was short, typed in plain text. "Karma works best when you light the match." For the first time in months, I laughed. Not bitterly, not coldly, but genuinely. Because whoever had sent those documents, whoever had lit the fire under Emma and Ryan's lies, had done more than expose their deceit. They'd reminded me of something important. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't destruction, it's illumination. Weeks turned into months, and life began to settle into a new rhythm. The chaos that had consumed me, the betrayal, the revenge, the fallout, started to feel like a distant storm I'd weathered. But storms leave scars, and mine were etched deep. Some days, I felt lighter, freer, as if I'd shed an old skin. Other days, the weight of it all pressed down on me again, reminding me that healing isn't linear. Emma and Ryan disappeared from my orbit entirely. Their social media accounts remained inactive, their names occasionally surfacing in hushed conversations among mutual friends. Rumors spread. They'd lost everything: the apartment, the car, even Ryan's business, and were living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in legal fees. A part of me pitied them, not because I forgave them, but because I understood how quickly life can unravel when you build it on lies. Still, pity wasn't enough to make me reach out. Whatever connection we'd once shared was gone, burned to ash by their own hands. The mystery of the anonymous package lingered, too. Whoever had sent it knew far more about Emma and Ryan than I ever did. They'd seen the cracks in their facade long before I did, and they'd chosen to expose them, not out of loyalty to me, but perhaps out of a desire to watch the house of cards collapse. I never discovered who it was, though I suspected it might have been someone closer to them than to me. Someone they'd wronged in ways I couldn't imagine. Whoever they were, I owed them a debt I could never repay. One crisp autumn afternoon, I found myself wandering through the park near my apartment. The air smelled of fallen leaves and wood smoke, and golden sunlight filtered through the trees. It was the kind of day that made you believe in second chances and fresh starts. As I walked along the winding path, I noticed a woman sitting on a bench, sketching in a notebook. She looked up briefly, caught my eye, and smiled. A small, tentative smile that somehow felt warmer than anything I'd experienced in years. I hesitated for a moment, then approached her. "Mind if I sit?" I asked, nodding toward the empty space beside her. She shook her head, closing her notebook slightly. "Not at all." We started talking, casually at first, about the weather, the changing seasons, the peculiarities of city parks. Her name was Claire, and she was an artist, working on illustrations for a children's book. There was a quiet confidence about her, a steadiness that drew me in. Unlike Emma, whose charm had always been loud and performative, Claire's presence was understated, genuine. She didn't try to impress me or fill the silence with unnecessary chatter. Instead, she listened, really listened, as I spoke about my work, my hobbies, the things that mattered to me. For the first time in what felt like forever, I found myself opening up. Not about Emma or Ryan or the mess they'd left behind, but about me. About the lessons I'd learned, the mistakes I'd made, the person I wanted to become. Claire didn't offer advice or platitudes. She simply nodded, her expression thoughtful, as if she understood exactly where I was coming from. By the time we parted ways, exchanging numbers with a promise to meet again, I realized something important. This wasn't just another chance encounter. This was a beginning. As winter approached, Claire and I grew closer. Our conversations deepened, moving beyond surface-level pleasantries to explore the complexities of our lives. She told me about her struggles, her parents' divorce, her battles with self-doubt, her fear of failure. And I shared mine. The betrayals, the heartbreak, the anger that had consumed me for so long. With each passing day, I felt the walls around my heart start to crumble, brick by brick. But letting go wasn't easy. There were nights when the memories would creep back in, uninvited and unwelcome. Nights when I'd lie awake, replaying every lie, every laugh, every moment of betrayal. On those nights, Claire would call me, her voice soft but firm. "You're allowed to feel it," she'd say. but don't let it define you. You're more than what they did to you. Her words stayed with me, echoing in my mind whenever doubt crept in. Slowly, I began to believe them. Spring arrived, bringing with it a sense of renewal. One Saturday morning, Claire and I went hiking in the nearby mountains. The trail wound through dense forests and opened onto a breathtaking vista, a sweeping valley bathed in sunlight, dotted with wildflowers. We stood there together, taking it all in, when Claire turned to me and said, "You've come so far, you know." I glanced at her, surprised. "What do you mean?" She smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "When we first met, you carried this heaviness, like you were carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Now, you seem lighter, freer, like you finally let go of whatever was holding you back." Her observation caught me off guard, but it was true. Over the past few months, I'd done more than rebuild my life. I'd rediscovered myself. I'd stopped seeing myself as a victim, as someone defined by the actions of others. Instead, I saw myself as a survivor, as someone capable of growth, of change, of love. "I think you helped with that," I admitted, meeting her gaze. "You made me see that I deserve better, that I'm worth more than what they gave me." Claire's eyes softened, and she reached for my hand. "You are," she said simply. "And so am I. That's why we found each other." In that moment, standing on the edge of the world with the woman who had helped piece me back together, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known was possible. The scars were still there, faded but visible, reminders of the battles I'd fought and won. But they no longer controlled me. They were part of my story, but not the whole story. Later that evening, as we sat by a campfire under a canopy of stars, Claire handed me a small, wrapped gift. "It's not much," she said with a shy smile. "Just something I thought you might like." Inside was a leather-bound journal, its cover embossed with a simple phrase, "Begin again." Tears welled in my eyes as I traced the words with my fingers. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. "This means more than you know." Claire leaned in, resting her head on my shoulder. "You've already begun," she murmured. "This is just the next chapter." And for the first time in years, I believed her. Life doesn't erase pain, it transforms it. It takes the broken pieces and reshapes them into something stronger, something beautiful. For me, that transformation came in the form of forgiveness, not of Emma or Ryan, but of myself. Of letting go of the guilt, the shame, the belief that I was somehow responsible for their betrayal. I wasn't. None of it was my fault. The road ahead wouldn't always be smooth, but I was ready to face it with clarity, with purpose, with hope. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't destruction or illumination, it's redemption. And redemption, I realized, begins with choosing to trust again, with choosing to love again. The end.